The Tuskegee Airwomen were a group of African American women who made history during World War II, while the Tuskegee Airmen, the men who trained as fighter pilots, are well known for their groundbreaking contributions to the war effort. The women who served as part of the same program are often overlooked. These women served as civilian pilots, also known as Women Airforce Service Pilots, and they helped pave the way for women in aviation, both in the military and civilian life. In the early 1940s, the United States was in the midst of World War II, and the country was in desperate need of pilots to meet the demands of the war. The Army Air Corps was tasked with training pilots, and Tuskegee, Alabama, became the site for an important pilot training program for African Americans. This was known as the Tuskegee Airmen Program, which trained a small but significant group of African American pilots who went on to serve with distinction in the war. However, these men were not the only African Americans involved in the war effort. Women, too, were keen to contribute in ways that went beyond traditional gender roles. The decision to allow women to serve in military roles during World War II was influenced by the war's increasing demands. As more men went off to fight, women were needed to fill a variety of positions that had traditionally been occupied by men. The Women Airforce Service Pilots program was established in 1942 with the goal of freeing up male pilots for combat duty by allowing women to take on non-combat roles such as ferrying aircraft, towing targets, and performing other essential duties. This program, although initially separate from the Tuskegee Airmen, had its own connection to the Tuskegee legacy because it was during this time that African American women began to step up and serve as pilots in a segregated society. While the Tuskegee Airmen were mostly known for their heroic combat missions, many women, especially African American women, were eager to become pilots and contribute to the war effort. Yet, the path to achieving that goal was difficult and often met with skepticism. At a time when racial segregation was prevalent, African American women faced immense barriers, not only in the military, but also in the field of aviation, which had long been dominated by white men. Despite these challenges, a small group of determined African American women overcame these obstacles and made history. One of the most notable figures in the Tuskegee Airwomen story is Mildred Hemmons Carter. Born in 1921, Carter had always been interested in aviation. She learned to fly at an early age and earned her private pilot's license before joining the WASP program. She was one of the first African American women to become a member of WASP, and her contributions to the war effort were significant. As a WASP pilot, she ferried aircraft across the country and performed other critical tasks. Despite the discrimination she faced as both a woman and an African American, Carter remained committed to her mission and became a trailblazer for other women and people of color who wished to pursue aviation. The Tuskegee Airwomen, despite being relatively few in number, played a vital role in the success of the United States air operations during World War II. Their service helped to prove that women, regardless of race, could perform the same tasks as men and contribute meaningfully to national defense. While their contributions were largely unrecognized at the time, their legacy has become more apparent as historians and scholars revisit the history of World War II and the role of women in combat and aviation. In addition to their direct contributions to the war, the Tuskegee Airwomen also faced challenges that set them apart from their white counterparts. Many of them were excluded from flying with male pilots and were often relegated to support roles or tasks deemed less important. The racism they encountered within the military, even within programs that were supposed to be progressive like the WASP, demonstrated the deep-seated racial barriers that existed during this time. Nevertheless, the courage, determination, and skills of the Tuskegee Airwomen were undeniable. They flew aircraft that were used for a variety of tasks, such as training exercises and transport duties, and in many ways, they allowed male pilots to focus on combat missions. Their work, though often behind the scenes, was crucial to the overall success of the war effort. The historical context of the Tuskegee Airwomen service is important to understanding their achievements. At a time when African Americans were fighting against both racism and segregation, these women had to push against significant societal constraints to achieve their dreams. The story of the Tuskegee Airwomen is not just about aviation or wartime contributions. It is a broader story about the struggle for equality, the breaking of barriers, and the persistence of individuals in the face of discrimination. These women not only had to overcome the racial barriers that limited their access to many professions, but they also had to fight against the gendered expectations of the time that confined women to roles of homemakers and caregivers rather than warriors or pilots. The significance of their achievements was not fully realized until many years after the war had ended. Despite their immense contributions, the Tuskegee Airwomen did not receive the recognition they deserved during their time in service. It wasn't until decades later, when veterans organizations and historical scholars began to reassess the role of African American women in the military, that their stories were brought to light. In 1977, the United States government awarded the Tuskegee Airwomen, along with the men of the Tuskegee Airmen, the Congressional Gold Medal, a recognition of their bravery and service during World War II. Today, the legacy of the Tuskegee Airwomen lives on. Their courage and determination have inspired generations of women and African Americans to pursue careers in aviation and other fields that were once close to them. As pioneers in their own right, the Tuskegee Airwomen shattered the expectations of what women, particularly African American women, could achieve. They not only proved themselves as capable pilots, but they also made a lasting impact on the civil rights movement, showing that progress was possible even in the face of overwhelming adversity. The Tuskegee Airwomen made groundbreaking contributions to aviation and the war effort during World War II. Though their accomplishments were initially overlooked, their legacy has become an essential part of the history of both the military and the fight for racial and gender equality. The courage and determination they displayed in the face of discrimination have left an indelible mark on American history. Their story is one of resilience, breaking down barriers, and challenging societal norms, making them an enduring symbol of empowerment and progress. Their service helped pave the way for future generations of women in aviation and set the stage for further achievements in the struggle for equality and opportunity in all areas of American life. If you like this video and know someone in the military, please share it with them. Thank you for watching.